Madam Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for being here today. Commissioner Purse, in the interest of time, please do your best to answer the following questions in a yes-no format. To your knowledge, does the SEC generally consider the sale of physical art at an art gallery or auction house a transaction of a security?
No.
Thank you for that. Does the fact that art collectors may be purchasing pieces of art at a gallery or auction house with the expectation that the art may go up in value change anything in that analysis?
No.
Great. Now, putting aside art galleries and auction houses, does the SEC generally consider the sale of physical art on an online marketplace like eBay or Etsy a securities transaction?
No.
Okay, thank you. I do not understand is how the SEC appears to be taking the stance that NFTs, these pieces of digital art and collectibles, are themselves securities, or that sales of them via online marketplaces constitute a security transaction. The only difference I see is that one asset is tokenized and the other is not. In the example of physical art that we just discussed, there are indeed many collectors who purchase art with the intent to profit, and artists who market themselves and their work in order to develop an ecosystem of patrons. So I fail to grasp the difference here. Is tokenization enough to transform a non-security into a security?
Again, the facts and circumstances of any transaction are relevant, but you put your finger on something that's troubled me, which is that we seem to be treating digital assets differently than we treat physical assets, and I think that's problematic.
Well, what exactly is the differentiating factor?
We have moved away from, so when we look at digital assets, we're saying they're being sold as part of a securities transaction because there's an investment contract associated with it. Yet pinning down what exactly that investment contract has been, for me, very problematic. It's based on statements, any statement about something having value, or a statement made by one of the investors that something might go up in value. And as you pointed out, you can have an investor who buys a piece of art. You can have a person who buys a piece of art and she expects that piece of art to rise in value, but we don't change that piece of art into a security because she expects it to go up in value. And it seems to me that we're doing that on the crypto side, and it doesn't make sense to me because I don't see the parallel on the physical side.
Thank you for that. I'm concerned that this is just an extremely slippery slope. If the SEC takes a position that most NFTs are sold as securities, where does it end? The SEC hasn't been able to articulate a limiting principle here because there isn't one. The view threatens not just crypto, but many other industries as well. And at this pace, the SEC's actions threaten to swallow large parts of the collectibles markets, the luxury goods market, musicians and artists of all types, and even the restaurant and events industry. Beyond that, the Commission is stifling blockchain technology as a whole, and it appears Chair Gensler is doing so intentionally. Commissioners Ueda and Purse, your recent dissent related to NFTs stated that, quote, the NFTs here are utility tokens, not securities, and statements by the founders and NFT purchasers that a successful restaurant would cause the NFT price to rise do not change that. So, Commissioners Purse and Ueda, in your dissent, you two also aptly state that, quote, the intent of a buyer cannot transform a non-security into a security, end quote. I'd like each of you to discuss the following questions. In your view, why has the SEC not provided clarity to the treatment of NFTs, and how could the Commission approach this differently? Commissioner Ueda?
We identified what is my primary concern. There is no limiting principle based on what you might discern from the Commission's enforcement actions. I have strong reservations whether that's consistent with the law. I mean, we've talked about the Howey test, but the Howey test gets implemented by the courts of appeal. So for instance, in the Ninth Circuit, there's a case called Glenn Turner Enterprises, which said that there needs to be such essential managerial efforts that lead directly to the success or failure of the enterprise. And in many of these cases, the artist just creates it, it exists. There is no subsequent managerial or entrepreneurial efforts that affect the value. It's all set by supply and demand.
Thank you for that. Sorry, we're out of time. Mr. Chairman, we need to create clear rules of the road here. This technology is the future, and I appreciate anything y'all can do to help create clear rules going forward. Thank you.